Well, thanks for joining us. And, well, we have a thorough insight into a lot of things we want to take a look at, especially the issue about Ghana's participation of the team, the Black Stars, in the World Cup, and the subsequent establishment of a commission that issued a report, and the report was submitted to the president. Now a white paper has also been issued, and we know what the outcomes have been. Well, we want to do a thorough discussion on that very subject this morning. And we have here with us Obi Amwa. He is a member of parliament for Ikapim South, but also has been at the sports ministry as a deputy minister, and so has real insight into what goes into organization of such events, and perhaps some of the revelations that are in that very report as well. But before we touch base though, how have you been? Now, what has been your observation since we had the commission submitting its report and the subsequent white paper that has been issued by the presidency?
Well, thank you, Roland, and good morning to our viewers. Of course, we were all living witnesses to what happened in Brazil. We all complained. We all complained about the World Cup fiasco in Brazil. It was probably a matter of course that the president set up a commission. Now, the report has come out. Unfortunately, before the report came out, the white paper had come out. And some of us, we made a comment that we needed to see the report to see whether the white paper had done justice to the report. Thankfully, the report is in. We are still reading what the commission said. But if I were to make general remarks, I think that the white paper appeared to be so soft and lenient on those who were directly in charge of the whole tournament. The white paper appears to have focused more on the role of the GFA. Of course, the white paper is the final authority on any commission of inquiry. And anybody who is not happy with the white paper can go to the Court of Appeal to overturn what the government has concluded. Now, this whole World Cup thing, I've come to see it as, instead of regarding it as a tournament, going to participate and then getting as far as we can, we've turned it into a whole event, a whole, like as if we are even hosting the World Cup. 2006, when we qualified for the World Cup for the first time, everything was on a very modest, small scale. We went and came. There wasn't much noise about it. Come 2010, when we qualified again, it was a whole event. I mean, in South Africa, a lot went on which probably the government should have watched very carefully, but it became business as usual regarding hiring of flights, ferrying of supporters, accommodation, feeding, who was paying what, sponsorship, etc. We seem to have glossed over it. Reports came, complaints came. Then, come 2014, things got magnified, as if we had lost total control of what we were supposed to do. Otherwise, your business was to ensure that the team got to the World Cup, participated, do very well, and then come back home. Of course, mobilizing supporters, you should have identified how you were going to do it, and then even looking at your sources of funding, etc. It became a whole jamboree, a whole, as if we were organizing the World Cup in Ghana. And I mean, I wasn't surprised about
the issues about what procedures there were and what needed to be followed in terms of reporting lines and things like that. Have they always existed in the ministry? We know that, well, we always carried monies to matches. I mean, we're not going to talk about it's been ongoing for ages, so it's not necessarily as if it's more recent.
Well, when the commission started its sittings, there was, even before then, there was one comment by Nyantechi, and I called him and he had to apologize that he couldn't have made that statement. The impression he gave when they came back was that at every World Cup we carry money to the World Cup.
Which is not true?
Which is not true.
Well, we're told 2006 we carried money.
Yes, I confronted him and he admitted. And I have the documents to always show. It's unfortunate that probably the commission didn't find it necessary to call some of us. But I reminded Nyantechi, he called Fred Papo, he agreed that during the World Cup in 2006, we transferred. We asked them to open an account in Germany, transferred money even to Ghana Mission in Germany. So this issue of carrying $3 million on board a flight to the World Cup never happened during our time.
In your estimation,
and the records were there to show where the Minister of Finance instructed the commercial bank to even transfer some of the money from our government's accounts in London to Germany for that purpose. Yeah.
Could we have transferred the amounts that we ferried or we transported to Brazil?
Why not?
Could we have done that?
Why not?
In a matter of the period when the players were agitating and was being reported?
That is where the whole thing, I mean, became a fiasco. In the first place, we have an embassy in Brazil. We have an ambassador there. What role did we ask them to play? I can tell you on authority that weeks before the World Cup, the mission had not been asked to play any major role. Because I had one or two contacts and they were in the dark as to what they were even supposed to do. Unlike the Germany World Cup, where right from the beginning the ambassador was in charge of.
It was very integral.
Yes.
Okay.
That's number one. So then there was this issue of even agreeing on how much we were supposed to pay them as the appearance fee and bonus, etc. To the extent that the vice president was even made to give them assurance when he visited them. And the figures he was giving were different from even the figures the Minister for Sports gave. So right in the middle of the tournament, they didn't know how much they were supposed to receive. So that became the focus of agitation throughout the tournament, to the extent that they had to threaten and blackmail the government that if you don't bring us the money, we won't play. And out of panic, it was a grievous mistake that any government could commit.
It brought us to the limelight for the wrong reasons.
Not only limelight, it brought a shame.
Yeah.
Shame. I mean, all the international networks started reporting about it. And I'm saying that at that point, we did not need to carry the money. Play and come for your money. If you like, don't play.
At least you could have put our foot down.
Yes, you could have insisted that I would prefer to send players who will go and lose heavily and come home and save our dignity than for us to, go for 3 million from Bank of Ghana or wherever, store it at the national security, looking for a flight, put it on a flight, get to Brazil, everybody gets to know beforehand because the Deputy Minister of Sports had already said it on air that we've gone for the money, we are carrying it to Brazil physically. And then before they got there, the international media, Brazil TV, carrying it live.
Global TV is one of the biggest televisions in Latin America.
Have avoided all this.
Have you seen the report itself or the white paper? Have you perused it?
I've looked at the white paper. I haven't read the entire report.
To you, what strikes you as interesting?
What strikes me as interesting is the fact that if you read the white paper, it appears all the blame is heaped on the GFA and the GFA president.
Well, they were very integral in many other things.
I didn't see the role of public officers, especially those running the ministry. Apparently, if you read the main report, there are several issues. So it was for the white paper. The white paper tells you, I accept these recommendations, I don't accept this, or I accept this with modification. And they carved out the white paper in a way that no public official would be indicted. And when it came to the FA, they just clammed on them.
You think that was unfair?
That is why we were all clamoring for the actual report. Since the report came, we've seen what the commission has said, and we've seen what the government has accepted. But even before the report came, the former minister, Fiasco, came out denying everything and saying that he did the best or his hands were clean. But now the report is out, everybody can see. But the most important thing is that those who have been indicted, they have their rights. If they think that what is in the white paper is not what really happened, they have to go to court of appeal, because these are the findings of the High Court. And if you don't do anything about it, the findings will stay, and then you suffer the consequences.
Okay. Now, first, we're told that we got a number of donations, and these were chronicled. GCB, for example, 300,000 Ghana cedis, 250,000 from the NLA, and a number of them 50,000 from the ECG, VRA 53,000, even the Free Zones Board over 100,000. Now, the concern of the commissioners were that these were not adequately well accounted for.
Yes, that is the problem we have. That you write to corporate bodies, sponsors, the bill is huge. We need to go to Brazil, and this is the budget. In spite of what government is providing, we need your support. In spite of the fact that you have a major sponsor like GNPC, you still ask the corporate bodies to provide, and you have to account for everything that they provide, how you use it. And that doesn't mean that because they've also provided the money, you can use it anyhow. That's a challenge. And if the commission, in its findings, came out clearly that they cannot account for the money or did not use the money well, they have to come back and answer. This is not the end of the matter. They have to come back and answer. It's obvious that we could have done things better. We have seen some of the requests to some of these corporate bodies, and I've seen some of the donations and the monies that they released. And
there were payments made for services that were rendered. Some of them have been criticized. For example, transporting the players from wherever they were to the airport. Is it the supporters to the airport?
And the cost involved.
And the cost involved, for example.
Which on the face of it.
The pre-dinner or is it
pre-departure event? Is the one at the State House?
The one at the State House, yes, costing in excess over 300,000 or so.
Meanwhile, at that event, a lot of corporate bodies also donated. I was there myself. I saw a lot of corporate bodies coming in, auctioning of T-shirts, auctioning of replicas.
How have you been worried about the issues of accountability that perhaps even the white paper seems not to take cognizance of?
Of course, everybody should be worried, and we need to do things in the right way. Once you've been given the authority as a government and as a ministry, you have to be very professional about what you are doing. You have to be meticulous, and you have to know that you are accountable to the people of Ghana. You don't turn it into a whole event as a private event. You call this, go and do this. You call this, go set up committees. You remember after the work, even before the commission, these travel and tour agencies, they came out with so many complaints, and they said that the whole thing was a sham, in the sense that you invited them to Senchi for a meeting. You spent 2 minutes, 3 minutes with them. They say go right to you. Eventually, they decided who they will award the contracts to. If you do things this way, and there's this fallout, then you should be ready to face the music. So it was poorly done, very unprofessional. We took a lot of things for granted. People saw it as business. People saw it as opportunity to make money at that stage. And then that is the outcome of it. It's the people of Ghana and government who are losers.
The issue about not taking responsibility for actions taken, do you think that has been, well, the cause of action, especially for those who are the appointees, especially from the presidency, to take up whether they are ministers or whoever?
Well, if you look at what needs to be done, what is usually the procedure. If you're dealing with a national team, you look at their budget, you agree to a certain point with their budget, you send it to the presidency, office of the chief of staff. They scrutinize it, they agree to the figures, they authorize the Minister of Finance to effect payment. Minister of Finance then goes to controller and the Bank of Ghana, and then the process goes on. Even at this stage, it's the public servants who are dealing with these things, going to sign for money, going for the money. If it's a short trip and a one-match event, maybe home or away, The public servants, they deal with it, they account for everything, and then that's the end of the chapter. When it becomes the World Cup, people think that's an opportunity to make money. People see it as big business. And this time, it was magnified 100 times. It's a fact.
Well, the World Cup is big business.
It's
You can just
big
look at the
business for
sponsorship
who?
that comes to FIFA alone to know that around that there's a
No,
lot
but
of
for you,
there's a lot of leveraging and ambushing that can be done by marketing firms. And
but for you, the public officer, even if you were to see it as big business, you were seeing it as inuring to the benefit of the state and the national team, not for bringing people on board with also. I mean, some of the revelations which came out at the commission, they were mind-boggling. I mean, ticketing, travel and tours, payments that we couldn't account for.
Food and beverage.
Yes, and identifying people who were in charge, and they would come and tell you, we didn't know what we were supposed to do, or this was our mandate. Like,
well, this particular payment that was made, is it to somebody who showed directions or things like that? Was giving, is it 20,000 or 200,000?
A guide or whoever.
Yes, yes.
And then
Brazilian.
translator and all these things. I mean, when you had a whole embassy, and when you could have coordinated.
I know you seem worried about why the focus seems to be so much, you feel, the white paper on the GFA president. But at the end of the day, for example, when he appeared, money, he was supposed to have made some allocations based on monies that were given to him for those allocations, but they were not signed by the recipients.
Well,
that's not a proper corporate governance.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. He can defend himself. He's a lawyer. He has a team of lawyers. He's running a whole huge institution. If he's been indicted in a white paper, he has to go to court of appeal. After all, this is not the first time a white paper has come out, even when it comes to football. We had the Badebe Commission. Those who were not happy, Butler, Adekoka, Abu Alassa, they went to court of appeal. I said, as at now, we don't even know what happened when they went to the court of appeal. So I should never create the impression that I'm worried about the white paper or Kwesinian Techu or the FA. They can speak for themselves. They can, if they think that it's not the right thing, they go to court of appeal. They have every right. What I'm saying is that now that the report is out, everybody should take the trouble to read the report and then see whether the report really reflects what actually happened at the commission, one, and whether those who were entrusted with that responsibility really carried out that responsibility. That's the most important thing. So apart from the findings of the High Court that the commission report shows, or the white paper shows, apart from your ability to go to the court of appeal, the report also is in the court of public opinion. Every person who reads it will know that the ministry and the government did not do things properly. And it was like having access to the money and using the money anyhow. And that's not what we want our money to be used for. So it's definitely in the court of public opinion, every objective person will see that things could have been done a far better way.
Okay, if you look at the type of expenditures and the way the actions or inactions of certain individuals who were supposed to be at the helm of affairs and take critical decisions were, and these, according to the critics, are not reflected in the white paper, can it be resurrected any point in time?
Well, in the first place, if you read the report critically and you think that it's a cover-up, you raise the issues. I mean, they are public officers. They have to answer. You cannot say that because it's not in the white paper, then nobody should talk about it. We all need to interrogate it. If we think there's a cover-up, we should interrogate it. That's why I'm saying that now it's our work to do. Pick the white paper, pick the report. The white paper is telling us that there were some recommendations that they accepted. Let's put them side by side. What are the recommendations? The white paper is telling us that there were some that they didn't accept. Let's put it side by side and even interrogate those who did the white paper. The President Attorney General, why didn't they accept those recommendations? The white paper also said that there were some recommendations that they accepted with modification. What did they accept? What was the modification? And then what didn't come into the white paper at all? Which parts of the report that we thought were so crucial but they were not reported or they were not published in the white paper? And then that will give us the opportunity to make objective assessment and then ask those in charge that, are you attempting to cover up? Or did you set up the commission to target few people. The commission might have done this report, except that I even have a problem with some of the recommendations that they made. Should be referred to a state institution to pursue further investigations. I found it very, very mind-boggling in the sense that you have the powers of a high court. You've been given a task to do. You even ask for extension for several months for you to be able to complete your job. If there was anything that you needed further clarification, you had all the powers to even subpoena those who were supposed to. If it were just an ordinary committee, they could have decided to invite persons. They would tell you they are not obliged to come. But because it was a commission with the powers of the High Court, they could subpoena anybody to the place.
And they
so
did
they
that.
should have, yes, so they should have completed the job than to say that now you're saying that a special body should be set up. The AG is saying that BNI should do the work. So it means your work is not even complete. The people, as they walk around now, they are now going to be subjected to interrogation by BNI on this same matter. On this same matter. So who do we trust? Then why did the president set up the commission? You should have just asked the BNI to do all the investigations and then send the docket to the AG's office for prosecution or whatever. So those are some of the challenges.
Okay.
There's a lot that we still need to do and talk about.
From your side of the house, are you going to make commentary on this subject formally?
Because
I see
when it comes to sports, because of my background, I have a big say in what happens. But I'm not on the sports committee, and I try not to just preempt what they want to do.
Okay.
But if this is the way they want to go, and they need all the support, we all chip in and then say that the right thing should be done.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and thanks for passing through the studio this morning.
Thank you.
I hope
yesterday I went to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, you did?
I did. I was part of the local government. I've seen some of the media reports saying Committee on Environment. It was Committee on Local Government and Rural Development.
Okay, you were part of that committee.
I was part of that committee. We went to see the AMA boss, Uko Vanapoy. We had extensive discussion. He took us to the site. We were in a bus with the escort and everything that you can think of. And it's a tragedy.
Which is?
It's a tragedy. Even
They're occupying the place illegally.
The settlement itself is a tragedy. And the way we are going about it,
it's another tragedy.
I don't know the word to use. The settlement itself, you can't believe that we've allowed citizens of Ghana, tax-paying citizens, bona fide citizens of Ghana, to settle at such place for this long time. And every time the government wants to take a step, others come in. And if you listen to Jake, former chairman, previously Minister for Information and Modernization, etc., if you listen to me, it's pathetic. We politicized it so much that the government was paralyzed. So, mind you, as far back as 2002, this matter had ended up in court. And the interesting part of it is that in the matter of Isaidi Abbas and 10 others against AMA, the lawyer was Dominic Aini, who is now the Deputy Attorney General.
It's just a coincidence, I believe. He was performing his professional duty.
Oh, he felt strongly about the fact that those people could not be evicted without the impact assessment report, which said that they should be settled. That was all that he's.
Okay, so you're saying that the EMA's action should have been precipitated, or premised on the fact that there was an impact assessment that would have been conducted and the people resettled before?
There's already an impact assessment.
Okay.
That's the point Dominic Ahini made in 2002. The court did not agree that he could use the rate to stop the eviction. The court said, apart from the fact that the government, the MPP government, had given 1 year notice, the 2 weeks notice was still short. They could further lengthen the notice by another 2 weeks. That's what the court said. And said, but it should be carried out in a human manner. I have a copy of the judgment here. Somehow, it became a political issue, even though MPP managed to get land at Ajen Kotoku.
Had it developed it?
Yes, we thought that the traders could move there because the major activity was trading. And if they could move the traders there, that place could then be.
Well, the government should have just taken the decision and moved them.
It's not as simple as you see it, but the NDC admits that when they came, steps had been taken. But the political side of it is that, whether we like it or not, that place provides votes for NDC. They fight for them when they are in opposition. They come to government, then they are, as we speak now, the government is confused.
Okay.
Very confused.
So what do you
AMA
think
will say one thing, Minister of Local Government will say another thing?
Do you think the action of the AMA is right, is the best thing to do? Perhaps they haven't taken the right steps in terms of resettling.
That's the trouble I went to asking the AMA boss. Did you give them notice? Did you give them enough notice? That
you talked to him?
I spoke to him.
What did he say?
He said that since January they've been giving notice. They even send speakers around
and
giving notice. But the bottom line is that even after notice, what steps have you taken to make sure that whatever you are doing will be in a humane manner?
Okay.
And doesn't seem to have. But the political will and decision from the government is not coming. Okobanapo is so much carrying out the thing with zeal that no, there's something that has to be done to save all of us. And indeed, if you go there, that's what it looks like. But then, the main politicians, Minister for Local Government, Deputy Minister of Local Government, they seem to give us
I see you are doing an analysis of it. Which side are you on, the decision or not?
No, it's not a clear-cut thing. That's why I'm saying it's a tragedy to have even allowed this to fester for all these years. But in solving it, we need to have stages in place. Not overnight because there's been a flood.
And bulldoze.
Overnight, I have to bulldoze.
Okay. And
then people are homeless and people, there's agitation. Then they come in and say that if you carry on, if you continue, we are going to lose votes. So hang on. The AMS tells you that if we don't carry it out and there's another flood, there will be more disaster.
All right, we have to end our subject this morning. And it's a two-party discussion we're having this morning. We'll also be joined by a Deputy Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. I guess he's the best person to tell us the plight of the women and children at Old Fadama, especially following that very eviction that has been started by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. And Alexander Akon will be joining me for the discussion alongside the Member of Parliament for Kwandai and Matthew Nyinda. I don't know whether some of his constituents are also located there.
Certainly.
So I'll ask all of them. I guess we all have interests in the subject as well. So we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have two guests also in the studio and we'll continue the discussion.